Take a day of school off together, celebrate the sunshine, wind, and weather. You're hanging on a kite string, seeking rainbow winds.
I find it very boring to stay on a track where I'm not calling on the painter in me, the poet in me, the singer, the dancer. When I was younger, I loved dancing. I love to move. I'm very kinesthetic about, I need somewhere in the process to be using more of myself to engage with the learning. So then I'm going to be asking kids to do the same. So I was always brought to a school because I knew something about Chesapeake Bay, but additionally, I was deeply interested in knowing something about these children, and that they would know something about themselves. I don't teach Chesapeake Bay. I teach children. That's what that occurred to me along the way, and so I'm interested in them, and somehow, hopefully, but not necessarily, the Bay gets into the action. But of course, I want to make something that's about our place. So I might ask Jessie, do you know anything about the river at all? And she'd say, yeah, my daddy's a waterman. I said, well, could you maybe make something, like if we tear out some things, could you tear out something about what your daddy does, or you do, or when you're with him, or when you've been with him? Could you make a picture like that, maybe? It'd be interesting. Try to do that. In a way, you'll be telling a story about what you do, what your life's like. That's what I want to hear about. I've always been working to photograph children and put them in their art. I just have why not? So somebody say, why do you do that? I say, why not do it? I mean, if you want to really feel like you're connected to something and in it, then become something and be in it, get in it. And so that's all I'm saying to the kid. Jessie was the sweetest child. I'm sure that by now she's probably a mom with children of her own. But look at this boat she made. She drew these lines. A lot of these times I would cut these things out after the children had gone, and then put them together, and then put them together for them, and then ask them to be a part of it. Say, like, Jessie, would you hold the crab net for me so I can take? Oh, sure, she said, and she'd hold it. And then I'd say, now, what do you want? She said, well, I'd like to be the crab in the net. I said, well, okay, do that. So she crouched down, I photographed her and put her in there too, So there she is catching the crab, but there she is being the crab. Well, you're getting into it, right? Brad, of course, Brad is the same thing. He's listening to me talking to her. Maybe, that might be the way this worked. And he's saying, well, I know something about crabs. My daddy sells them in a truck. I said, well, can you make a truck full of crabs selling them? And he gets a friend in the classroom to become the crab. Well, she just made crabs for him, actually, so I photographed her in later. But here he is driving his truck. He made the truck, Brad's Crabs. So I printed that on there for him real neat. We catch them, you eat them. This is a beautiful piece here. I mean, what do you think of all the magic and majesty that's going into this? This is really a remarkable piece of art when you think about it. This is Megan, and it's so fun. It's really, she gave herself to that camera just the way I think she really is, Megan. And she loved jellyfish. She just loved them. So she's asking me to photograph her in a way that puts her right into the drawing she's done, and she had two little eyes in that jellyfish too. She's saying, so unbelievably beautiful is the little jellyfish. He swims all day without a rest. He's very beautiful and colorful, you see, and that's why he is so very dear to me. I wrote this up here that for me this work becomes a way of celebrating my awareness that something in each of us is linked to all else. And in quotes, all things are connected. I experience that connection almost always when I'm planning these graphics with children. And often when I look at a collection like this exhibit, and without fail, when I look into their eyes, in the casual and candid way they peer into the camera lens for their portraits. Hey, listen, you know, I'm at 78, I would, you know, look at these things with you and bring them out here like this and think, did that mean anything at all? Did it mean anything? I don't know. I don't know. I know that it meant delight for me when it was being done. It meant delight just now to look at it and share some of it. I hope it meant delight and happiness and joy for them. So I was always brought to a school because I knew something about Chesapeake Bay, but additionally, I was deeply interested in knowing something about these children, and that they would know something about themselves. I don't teach, I don't teach Chesapeake Bay. I teach children. That occurred to me along the way, you know, and so I'm interested in them, and somehow, hopefully, but not necessarily, the Bay gets into the action. Yes, I was always brought to a school because I knew something about Chesapeake Bay, but additionally, I was deeply interested in knowing something about these children, and that they would know something about themselves. I don't teach, I don't teach Chesapeake Bay. I teach children. That occurred to me along the way, you know, and so I'm interested in them, and somehow, hopefully, but not necessarily, the Bay gets into the action.